Am I crazy? This is my top 5 favorite superhero movies from the last decade, 2007 to 2017. So 10 years, and I'm highlighting 5 of my favorite. Yeah, I'm a little crazy. What are your top 5 favorite of the last decade? Welcome to Durbania, I'm Durbin, and this is my top 5 favorite superhero movies of the last decade, 2007 to 2017. This was a hard one to put together, but it was so fun and I'm excited to talk about it. You know what, I could almost promise you, I might skip over your favorite superhero movie just because it's a top 5 in just a 10-year window of superhero movies. If I do, that's okay. Don't get mad. Let me know in the comments what your top 5 favorite are, and let's talk superheroes together, because chances are, even if I missed your favorite, it's probably still one of mine. It's just kind of hard to boil this down, but boil it down I did, and here we go. Coming in at number 5. The Avengers. Now, just because The Avengers is at number 5, it doesn't mean it's my least favorite. In fact, let's take a look at number 5 and look at number 5 as a gateway into talking about some of the best superhero movies ever, because The Avengers is amazing. And one of the things that I love about The Avengers, it's a milestone. It's a game changer in the superhero genre. Well, it's a game changer, period, because one of the things that The Avengers showed is the shared universe works. And it showed that because Avengers was done right. I mean, if you go back all the way to Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve back in the 70s and move your way up to about 2005, 2006, yeah, we were getting tons and tons of great superhero movies and franchises, but they were all standalone. Starting in 2008 with Iron Man and moving our way up to the first Avengers movie, we also got solo superhero films, but the Avengers showed us how it works to make it a shared universe. And that was a huge historical milestone moment in superhero genre and in film genre, because we got the time to build up and know these characters well and like them for who they are. And then when the trailers drop for Avengers, we're all excited to see how's this gonna work. How is Captain America gonna get along with Iron Man? A guy from the 40s and World War II gonna get along with this technological dude in modern day? How is a science dude like Bruce Banner or Tony Stark gonna deal with a mythical dude like Thor existing right here in solid reality? Like, it already had this built-in interest plus a built-in fan base of people loving these comics for ages and ages, and the Avengers movie did not disappoint. Thank you, Joss Whedon. That movie was incredible. In fact, I throw that at number 5 because of how great it was, how fun it was, how well it all worked together. But I also put in there Age of Ultron and Civil War. Even though Civil War is technically a Captain America movie, it's also pretty much an Avengers movie. I throw those there because those movies are just awesome, and they are epic milestones and a gateway into talking about the rest of these awesome superhero movies. Number 4, The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is a fantastic movie. The Dark Knight trilogy is amazing as a whole, but The Dark Knight truly stands out to me, and number 1, it's because of Heath Ledger. I know a lot of people say that anytime anybody brings up The Dark Knight, one of the first things talked about is Heath Ledger, but I don't care. We're going to talk about Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker was just, it was groundbreaking. It was amazing. The way he portrayed this character was amazing. Now, the performance by itself was great. But what makes it even greater is when you look at what he was known for before doing that. Things like A Knight's Tale or 10 Things I Hate About You. Like, I mean, he's done some great roles before he took on the Joker. But as soon as he took on the Joker showed this whole other side of Heath Ledger we hadn't seen before. It showed a range that this guy had that we didn't know he had. And he did this character so well, I mean, it was mind-boggling. So when you take a performance that all by itself is just great, and you compare it, like, the other performances, I'm not saying they're bad. They are great, but there's something about when you see him do something one way, and then all of a sudden you see this that is such a radical shift, and it's done that well, that by itself is just absolutely impressive. That was amazing. So that character just made something special out of this movie. On top of the fact that the story was unique, where you have the Joker doing what he can to make Batman say his secret identity to the world, that, you know, to unmask himself, and the crazy things he was doing to get that to happen. But then that crazy turn where the Joker begins to like Batman. There they are sitting in that interrogation room, and he's like, "You complete me." And I mean, Christopher Nolan just did something so great with that dynamic, and I just love it when the Joker's hanging there upside down, and he's like, this is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Like, the Joker holds this belief of Batman completing him and they're going to be locked in this struggle forever. And he looks at this as something incredibly fun. That was so fun to see that portrayed in this movie. So good. Number 3, Captain America, Winter Soldier. Blew me out of the water. That movie was just so good. One of the things that I love that it did is it took Captain America and took out the cheesiness and added grittiness. And the way it did the grittiness, it didn't go dark with it. So you have something that's gritty, you have something that's action-packed, you have something that's fun, and you got something that's deeper on another emotional level because you have Captain America finding out Bucky is still alive. And Bucky has been used by Hydra as this bad guy. Oh, there's another fascinating storyline. You have Hydra thriving inside of S.H.I.E.L.D. because S.H.I.E.L.D.'s kind of been a little ignorant of that. And Hydra's been working on this whole idea of fear because through fear, people will gladly surrender their freedoms and gladly surrender their privacy for protection. Or at least that's kind of what this movie's saying, and it's saying that's what Hydra's trying to bring about. So what it does is it takes a very old-fashioned dude, a very old-fashioned hero, and brings him face to face with this whole thing of Hydra blooming inside of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the whole idea of privacy and freedom and the questions that we're asking today, and the way that it asked those questions, the way that it brought Captain America face to face with those questions, the way that it did the action and the grittiness and the fun superhero stuff. It just came out to be a fantastic movie. Once again, so well written, well directed, well acted, and well put together. So of course, this stands out to me as one of my favorites of the decade. So there it is, my number 3. Number 2, Man of Steel. If you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know this about me. I have a Superman bias. So it should be no surprise to anybody that not only is Man of Steel on this list, but it's as high as it is on this list. In fact, you might be surprised that it's not number 1. But I definitely have a Superman bias, and I loved Man of Steel. And I didn't have a lot of problems with it that others did. A lot of people said that Man of Steel was just so dark, and I don't think that Man of Steel was dark. I think Man of Steel was gritty. Yeah, they definitely kind of Batman Begins did a little bit, but I kind of like that because I had been wondering, what would Superman look like if he was placed in our real world? How would people react to him? And so them taking Man of Steel and not making the world around him, you know, more comic booky or cartoony or anything like that, but kind of setting him in this real gritty world, I actually really enjoyed it. It kind of upped the stakes for me about Superman. I think he had a bigger learning curve, and honestly, I really enjoyed that whole part of it. Another thing that people have a lot of problems with is the sheer destruction of Metropolis at the end. And I think the reason people have a problem with the destruction of Metropolis at the end is because when you watch Superman 2 with Christopher Reeve, what did he do? He realized this fight was causing a ton of destruction, so he flies away, and Zod and them follow him, and they fight in the Fortress of Solitude, thus he spares Metropolis more damage. And so when we look at Superman and we see this just massive amount of destruction, we're like, what is wrong with this guy? But honestly, most of that destruction had nothing to do with Superman. Superman, for the whole first half, that's on the other side of the world, battling the whole other half of the world engine. While on this side of the world, in Metropolis, Zod is destroying Metropolis. So then Superman defeats that side, comes over here, and fights Zod. So it's like, there was already massive destruction, and it wasn't caused by Superman. In fact, I think what the movie's trying to show us with that destruction is, number 1, this is a job for Superman. This is too big for humans to take care of. We absolutely need Superman to take care of this. And I think the number 2 thing that was trying to tell us is, what would it really be like if these people with godlike powers were fighting in our world? I don't think there's anywhere Superman could lead them in real life that this fight wouldn't cause sheer amounts of destruction. And that wasn't Superman's intent. So when I watch the movie, I feel like I see that. And so none of that really bothers me as much. In fact, it upped the stakes for me. Like, oh my gosh, you take out Zod, man. Save the world. I mean, that's how I felt, though. And I really enjoyed Man of Steel. Now, this is the section I'm actually the most nervous about because, well, it's the superhero genre and it's the internet and there's a comment section. But nonetheless, here we go. In my honorable mentions, the first one is Batman vs. Superman. I don't have a lot to say about it because I've already said a lot about it. It's not in my top 5 because I just felt like it rushed through things where if it would have taken its time instead of trying to universe build but told this epic story, it would have been far better. But that's just my opinion on that one. The next one of my honorable mentions, Guardians of the Galaxy. It's in my honorable mentions because if I had to boil 10 years of superhero movies down to my top 5, somewhere some stupid technicalities have to come in. And the stupid technicality for this one is, It is a superhero movie because it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I wouldn't say these are strictly superheroes. These are people that find each other in the galaxy. They become best friends. Essentially, it's a really great sci-fi fantasy buddy movie. Don't hear me wrong. I love this movie so freaking much. I love Guardians of the Galaxy, but if I had to boil down 10 years of superhero movies, that's the stupid technicality that I'm using. The next honorable mention is Deadpool. Honestly, he's in my honorable mentions instead of my top 5 because, well, without this movie, the character Deadpool probably would never have been on my radar. But I really did enjoy this movie. I think Ryan Reynolds was perfect in that role. It was a fantastic movie. I really don't have anything negative to say about it. So it's just not in the top 5, but it is a great movie. The next honorable mention, this is where I'm really nervous, Logan.
No! No!
Okay, it's one of my favorite movies of the year, but again, it goes back to the idea of stupid technicalities. If I have to boil this down to my top 5 of 10 years, this is in the honorable mentions because it's a heavy movie. Like, when you watch this, man, you're watching Wolverine slowly die. You're watching the end of Professor X's life after a horrible, tragic event that leaves him feeling lost, alone, and guilty, and I'm not saying that's bad. All of that is actually good, and Logan is so well done. It is a brilliant movie. But if you look at the other on my top 5 list so far, these are the type of movies that I find really fun, that I can easily jump back into, and that I love to jump back into and watch again and again and again. Logan is an emotional investment, and I love to watch it, but then I kind of need a break. And then later I could come back to it, and then it's emotional investment, and then when I want to come back to it, I just gotta wait. Let myself recharge, and then I could come back to it. That is nothing negative against the movie. It's brilliant, and it's wonderfully made, but that's why it's not in my top 5. Number 1. Wonder Woman. This is number 1 for me for multiple reasons, and one of the big reasons it's just number 1 for me is because it hits all the high points that I would want a super movie hero. It hits all the high points that I'd want a superhero movie to hit. I mean, it hits the point where, like, as a summer blockbuster fun popcorn movie, it is definitely that. It has action that looks amazing and is awesome just to sit there and watch. The other point this hits for me is it has heart. So it's not just the shallow popcorn movie. It actually has heart where you get so attached to this character. The way Gal Gadot plays Wonder Woman, the way she plays Diana, it's just amazing. Like, she has the right level of wisdom and naivete that it just works so well. And she blends that so well in her performance that she just creates this hardcore warrior, innocent character that you just love and you want to watch her succeed. And as she's going through this, you care about her quest, you care about her growth, you care about everything that she's going through. The other thing is, it's just such an inspirational movie, and one of the most inspirational scenes for me is the No Man's Land scene. I talk about this all the time, but it's where she crosses No Man's Land, where they think no one can take this ground. Nobody can just get over there. They have to take the long way around. She's like, but these people are oppressed. We can't do that. And just that inspiration of, I'm going to fight oppression. These people should not be oppressed. And when she just stands up and climbs the ladder of that trench and steps out in front of those bullets, pulls out that shield and runs down there, oh my gosh, it's such a well done scene. The music, the emotion, the acting, the way that comes together, you could see that it inspired the troops. It inspired me. I mean, that's what a superhero should do. She saw oppression. She's like, I can't live with this. And she takes No Man's Land. It's such an inspirational scene. The other thing that inspires me in this movie is she gets disillusioned. So, like, she thinks Ares has poisoned all man's heart and that they're under his spell. But it turns out that's not really the case. Yeah, he's definitely pulling some strings and doing some manipulation, but human beings all by themselves can be evil. All by themselves have evil in their hearts by their own free choice. And this is a huge, disillusioning truth that she learns. And she begins to realize that every human has that fight of light and darkness inside of them. And so she chooses to be that light and to help inspire other people to choose that light in themselves. And that was just an incredible thing in this movie. So Wonder Woman, to me, just in this decade, it has everything that I would want an awesome superhero movie to hit. Well, there you have it. 2007 to 2017, my top 5 favorite superhero movies in this last decade. There are tons of great superhero movies out there that have just been coming around that I didn't even name. So if I skipped over yours, don't get mad. Let's talk about it, because chances are I still love the one that I didn't mention. So go ahead and mention it in the comment and let's talk about it, because I love talking superhero movies and I can't wait to have more reasons and excuses to talk superhero movies with you. What is your top 5 favorite superhero movies in the last decade? Let me know in the comments. While you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian and also click that bell next to it so you're notified the moment I drop new videos. And be sure to check out my other videos here on this channel. I have other ranking videos, reviews, both spoiler-free and spoiler talk, trailer reactions, this other thing I love to do called Theological analysis. Check it all out. I'm Durbin. Thank you for checking out Durbania.